fly, and that was the end of it.
And the same suspects, and we'll see who they are. Let's look at the highlights. What do you think?
Let's go.
Okay, we'll start it off with Roger Clemens. He is 3-0 in 6 World Series start. This is his 7th start, will be the last of his career. And he comes out to a nice hand at Pro Player Stadium, and he runs into some trouble early. Bottom of the first, no score. Miguel Cabrera gives Florida the early lead as he takes Clemens the opposite way for the 2-out, 2-run home run, his 4th of the postseason. And just like that, it's 2-0 Marlins. Now, later in the inning, Derek Lee with the Marlins' 5th consecutive 2-out hit. This one an RBI single to left to score Jeff Conine, and it was 3-0 Marlins. Clemens threw 42 pitches in the inning. 42 pitches, finally worked out of it. In the bottom of the 6th inning, he settles down there. He strikes out Gonzalez. Now we go to the bottom of the 7th. Pavano in control, catches Jorge Posada looking at strike 3. Now Clemens keeps the Yankees close here. He strikes out Luis Castillo looking to end the inning. The flash bulbs going off, people keeping this in their memory books, their mental scrapbooks, the last pitch that Roger Clemens might throw in the big leagues, and he trails 3-1, and he gets a huge ovation from the fans at Pro Player. He comes out and acknowledges the crowd. A really nice moment here in Game 4 in the World Series.
Look at the Marlins at Clemens.
Bottom of the 8th, Pavano still going strong. On his 115th pitch of the night, he strikes out Derek Jeter to end the inning. 8 innings, 7 hits, 1 earned run. Did not walk a batter. He struck out 4. He left with the Marlins leading 3-1. Top of the 9th, Urbina on. 2 outs, runners on the corners. Pinch hitter Ruben Sierra delivers a huge pinch hit triple down the right field line. 2 runners score, and the game is tied at 3. They do not get Sierra home, though. Bottom of the 10th, 1 out, man on second. Jose Contreras bears down. He strikes out Pudge Rodriguez. The next batter, he strikes out Miguel Cabrera to end the inning. Now top of the 11th inning, 1 out, bases loaded. Braden Looper on to face Aaron Boone, and Looper wins this battle as Boone strikes out swinging. The next batter, John Flaherty, pops up the 3rd as the Yankees fail to score, and they would rue that. Jeff Weaver in his 2nd inning of work, a 3-2 pitch to Alex Gonzalez. Fair, it's gone. It's a fair ball. See you right inside the pole, right over the fence, and it sets off Bedlam in South Florida. Jeff Weaver, we've seen that act a lot throughout the year, and the Yankees lose Game 4 of the World Series by a 4-3 score, and this World Series is now tied at 2 as they celebrate in South Florida. 4-10-0 for the Marlins, 3-12-0 for the Yankees. Looper the win. He really looked great in relief. Jeff Weaver took the loss. 1 inning, 1 hit, 1 earned run. You see the Yankees and their box score on the right. Soriano got a leadoff single in the 1st inning. After that, the same old story, 1 for 6. Jeter was 1 for 6 with a double. Giambi 2 for 6. Bernie Williams 4 for 6. The 8th Yankee to have 4 base hits in a World Series game. Matsui, Posada each had a hit. Garcia was 0 for 3. Boone was 0 for 4 with a sac fly. Clemens actually picked up a base hit. He was 1 for 2. Sierra was 1 for 1 with that big 2-run pinch hit triple. DeLucci scored a run, and Flaherty, who came on for Posada late, was hitless in 2 at-bats. Well, this one really could be filed under the heading of a devastating loss for the Yankees. After yesterday's win, they beat the Marlins best, obviously, Josh Beckett. Everybody's thinking, hey, maybe it never even gets back to Yankee Stadium. With this victory right here, Bobby, it's getting back to Yankee Stadium.
We're definitely going to be for Game 6 back at Yankee Stadium for sure. But there were a lot of ups, a lot of downs in this game. I mean, the Marlins played great baseball. Pavano gave them a tremendous effort in starting this game tonight. And even though Clemens, as we mentioned, struggled, there were opportunities. The Yankees unable to cash in on those opportunities until later in the ball game. And then when they had the chance to really put this game away in extra innings, they failed to do that. And as you mentioned, you got to give a lot of credit to Looper because he pitched out of a jam that almost nobody could do.
Electric stuff, throwing in the high 90s, kept jamming right-handed batters. He looked great. Now, Roger Clemens in his last big league start, at least that's what he's been saying all year, the bottom of the 1st inning is you say to yourself, oh no, you can't believe it's going to happen like this. It was a sloppy bottom of the 1st. 2 outs, nobody on. Pudge Rodriguez starts it innocently enough. He strokes a single right field. No big deal, right? Well, the next batter is Miguel Cabrera. The first pitch is up and in, so he's sending a message right there. Cabrera gives a brief stare to Clemens. Same at bat on the 2-2 pitch. Cabrera with the sweetest revenge as he takes Clemens deep to right for the 2-run home run. It's 2-0 Marlins. Not a great start to the end of your career. The very next batter, Jeff Conine, singles to left field, keeps the inning alive. So Conine's on first base. Mike Lowell digs in, and he dumps one into right field for the single as Conine goes to 3rd, and Joe Torre has to get his bullpen up. At this point, Jeff Weaver begins to throw in the Yankee bullpen. The next batter is Derek Lee, and he picks up the 5th consecutive hit off Clemens. That drives in Conine. It's 3-0 Clemens, and he finally gets out of the jam by getting Alex Gonzalez to fly to right field. You have all sorts of emotions when you're watching this, Bobby, because you go, wow, you don't want a Hall of Fame guy to get knocked out in the first inning in a World Series game. That was a rough inning, but boy, did he settle down. He really pitched great baseball after that.
He did. I mean, you gotta just imagine it with the emotions and all that adrenaline just flowing in Roger Clemens' body. He began to, it looked like to me he was overthrowing the ball, and he was flying out a little bit. He didn't have a lot on his fastball, and he certainly was out of the strike zone. And when you pitch out of the strike zone, no matter how hard you throw the ball, you're going to get hit in the big leagues, and that's what happened to him in the first inning. And I think after the first inning was over with, he finally said, "Hey, you know what? You know, I'm 41 years old. I've been here. I'm a guy that's been in the big leagues for this long. I'm a Hall of Famer. Let's go get him."
All right, let's look at how he did settle down. Bottom of the 2nd inning, strikes out Luis Castillo looking. The bottom of the 4th inning, he strikes out Alex Gonzalez looking. You can see he's starting to get into a rhythm then. And in the bottom of the 7th inning, he strikes out Castillo looking, and then he comes out for a final curtain call. He had 5 strikeouts in the game. Let's go right to pro player right now. Clemens takes a bow. Joe Torre's at the podium. Let's listen in on what he's saying to the media.
Ladder. You know, we're going to go long there, and basically that's why you need a long man for instances like this. You know, you get to the point where you have one guy left on your bench, and you know, if we had a situation to try to knock in a run, yeah, we'd pinch hit when Weaver's chance comes, but he's going to have to hit probably too. So it was mainly for length and the fact that he's right-handed. Excuse me? Well, I needed to score a run. I mean, he was 2nd and 3rd. Yeah. Come on, wake up.
John.
Joe, Looper getting that strikeout with the bases loaded, that was really the game right there, wasn't it?
Well, that was a great opportunity for us, and he certainly did a heck of a job. You know, Contreras too. He dug himself a hole by walking Pierre to lead off an inning, and that's not a lot of fun. But he went through the teeth of that batting order and did a heck of a job. But that's what this is all about. You got two great teams that deserve to be here, and you saw great baseball tonight. Yeah, we're disappointed we lost, but you know, I'm proud of my guys because they just kept coming back.
Over there, Les.
Joe, talk about Roger in the first after he got the first 2 and he gave up those the 5 in a row, and then how he settled down after that, if you would.
Yeah, well, that's the only thing you're concerned about with everything that's been going on around him, the emotion of it all. But it was a little, you know, mechanically, he just didn't look comfortable to me. And he and Mel talked about it a little bit after he got in and obviously straightened it out. I mean, that's the mark of a great pitcher when you give up a few like that in the first and you don't let it affect what you have to do from there on out. It was such an emotional thing when he came out of that game. I mean, you look over, it's the World Series, and you see the opposition standing and applauding. I think that's quite a tribute to him.
Right here on the aisle.
I was just going to ask you more about that moment where both dugouts applauded Clemens. As a baseball purist, what did that mean to you?
It was quite memorable for me. I mean, Roger, you know, he just took it all in, and I mean that had I think we'd all like to be in his body to see what it felt like walking off that mound maybe for the last time, and then to obviously be proud of what he did tonight. He certainly straightened it out, got it back. But when I see Pudge standing at home plate, you know, applauding, I thought that was, as I said, memorable.
A couple more. Bruce.
Joe, do you see, I mean, I know you never underestimated the Marlins, but, you know, they scored 9 runs in 4 games, and you're even at 2 games apiece. Obviously, you see what they do. They just hang with you.
Well, I didn't have to wait to play them to see what they did. I watched the Cubs, you know, how they played against the Cubs and the Giants. I mean, there's no quitting these guys. We certainly never took them for granted. They beat 2 very good teams, and they had to come from behind all the time. You know, and there's a long way to go in this thing. So we certainly know what they're capable of doing, and it's a battle for us and it's a battle for them, and I think it's a treat for everybody who's watching.
One last question. Bring back there.
Joe, could you talk about the timing of using Sierra and Weaver? Why did you use both when you did?
Well, Sierra's my pinch hitter, and I felt he had a better shot at it than Garcia at that time. It was 2 out. I don't really worry about what happens after that, because unless we can keep the inning going, it doesn't really matter. And Weaver, he's our long guy, and, it's unfortunately he hasn't pitched a whole lot, but he's been throwing. And, the home run, he got to 3-2, and you certainly don't want to walk somebody to lead off an inning, and he made him hit it, and he did, and, the game's over. But that was basically it. They're primarily right-handed over there. And, that's why Weaver was in the game. If he's not in the game there, he shouldn't be on our roster.
Anything else for Joe? Okay.
Okay.
Thank you. We'll check on.
A couple of things to touch on here, Bobby. We both mentioned that the Yankees didn't get big hits today. You can't really leave out what Ruben Sierra did, because that was a huge pinch hit.
No, we were talking about the big hits in the latter innings after Sierra had come through with that 2 out. And you know why Joe put him up there in front of Garcia is because he was looking for one swing and to put the Yankees out in front. And that's what Rivera could do. And the reason that he has, Ruben Sierra, that's the reason he has Ruben Sierra on the bench is because he's a switch hitter, and it doesn't make any difference who's out there. He can bat right or left-handed, and he also can take one swing and hit it out of the ballpark for you.
Now, one thing that I would tend to disagree with Joe on, and we might even get to debate this, he said he put Weaver in because he wants length. Well, the most length you're going to get out of him is 3 innings, because you still have one more pinch hitter on the bench. You would pinch hit for Weaver anyway. You've got better pitchers, at least this year, on the dugout bench. You've got Chris Hammond. You've got Gabe White. You've still got Felix Heredia. And it was 2 days short of a month that Jeff Weaver pitched. Now, he pitched very well his first inning, but the home run's been a bugaboo for him the whole season. I was really surprised to see Jeff Weaver in Game 4 of the World Series, where the Yankees could take a stranglehold on this Fall Classic.
Well, I think he was saying, this was a place that he thought that Jeff Weaver fit. And if he didn't fit that place, why should he be on the roster? He says this is a primary right-handed hitting ball club, which they are. Mm-hmm. And I think he felt like that Weaver, even though he hadn't pitched since September the 24th, being a right-handed pitcher, that he was playing the percentages against right-handed hitters. So it didn't work out, and Weaver's been plagued by the long ball, and he got beaten up tonight with the long ball.
Boy, this one will be debated for a long time. We're going to be back real soon. We got so much more to come. Susan Waldman from the ballpark, so many more interviews, hearing from so many people in this game. It's a wild game. It's going to go down as a classic. Yankees lose this 4-3. Series is tied at 2. We'll be back.
The New York Yankees postgame show on Yes is brought to you by Nissan and your Nissan dealer.
Well, you're getting used to this. Tonight, Game 5, Yankees-Marlins. Our pregame will be on at 7:30 here on Yes, and then immediately following the final out, you join us here for the postgame show where we break it all down. Well, to know Mr. October, Derek Jeter, Susan Waldman caught up with him a couple of moments ago in the Yankee clubhouse. Let's listen in on that.
When you're in the first inning, where'd you go out? When you went out to talk to Roger, when you came over, what did you say to him?
I don't even remember. That was about 5 hours ago. I have no idea. Probably just something like hold him right there, score some runs for you. That's what I would guess I would say.
What was Pavano doing that it was so hard for all you guys to hit?
Well, he was mixing it up. He's moving his fastball in and out. He's cutting it. He's two-seamer. He's mixing in some sliders and his split as well. So, he pretty much kept us off balance.
You feel you missed a great opportunity here to go
to come back the way you guys did in that ninth inning with 1 out to go and then lose this game in 12?
Well, yeah, it's always tough. We almost stole one, but it didn't happen. So. That's the thing about a series. You got to be able to put it behind you.
Does it take a lot out of you guys emotionally?
The one thing that's interesting to me, Bobby, is that this team, the Marlin team, has shown a lot of resiliency. They lose with Josh Beckett on the mound. Then they blow a 3-1 lead in the ninth inning when Sierra gets that big pinch hit triple. And for them to come back and win this game following those 2 blows, that tells you this team is for real. If anybody doubted it, now they shouldn't.
I don't think anybody ever doubted it, especially the Yankees, Joe Torre and his ball club. They knew that this was a pesky ball club, and they beat the San Francisco Giants. They beat the Chicago Cubs, which were 2, great ball clubs in the National League. So they knew they were for real. And, the pitching staff had to come up big for them, especially after Josh Beckett got beat. And Brad Penny pitched a pretty good ball game, the first game of this series. And then Josh Beckett got beat. But tonight, Pavano, you got to give him a lot of credit. I mean, he came up with a big, huge game for them.
One guy who didn't have a huge game was Alfonso Soriano, who had that leadoff single in the first inning. After that, he was 0 for 5, did not look good at the plate. Susan Waldman caught up with him a couple of moments ago and actually asked him about Carl Pavano first off. Let's listen in.
Okay, Carl Pavano is going to get lost in this, but he pitched a tremendous ball game. What was he able to do that kept you guys, off stride all night?
I think he got a good location tonight. Fastball outside and in, good breaking ball. So I think he was perfect tonight.
Was he able to get you so that you didn't have as much discipline as you had in the last couple of games swinging at the ball that goes outside?
That's what they do all the time to me in this series, throw the ball outside. And sometimes I think that they want to throw me inside when they throw out a slide breaking ball outside and I swing the pitch. But I think I had to make an adjustment in the home plate and try to swing better pitch.
How tough is it to come back the way you guys did tonight and then lose an extra innings?
It's very tough because, we make a good combine the ninth inning and, tie the game. When we play the game, we think we had the chance to win this game tonight.
Did you think that when you tied it up off of Urbina, who's their closer, that you had a chance to steal one?
Oh, yeah. As soon as we tied the game in the ninth inning, I said, we got a lot of chance to win this game.
Are you still confident that you can come back again tomorrow and have your discipline and not swing at those pitches off the plate?
Oh, yeah, tonight I feel more better than last night, so I hope that tomorrow I feel more better than tonight, so we'll see what happens tomorrow.
Let's start it out this way, Bobby. I like Alfonso Soriano. He's a nice kid, and he talks about, they're pitching me outside. I have to show discipline. He's known this through 14 games. He struck out 2 more times today. He has 25 strikeouts. We talked about this on the pregame today, the postgame yesterday. Joe Torre seems totally reluctant to move this guy down in the lineup. Bobby, he's killing them.
Well, you know what? He's setting a record that it may not be broken. I'm talking about the strikeout record, the leadoff spot in the World Series. But you take another look at that's the outside pitch he was talking about. I mean, I got to preface this by saying it's easier said than done, and I'm talking about it, but I think I know what he's going through, and you see the numbers on him, but look at those strikeouts. There's 25 strikeouts. Now, the things that we have talked about that would bother me as a hitting instructor or Joe Torre would be that, and I heard him say this, he said, I may have to make an adjustment. That's the first time I've heard him say that. He needs to make an adjustment. There's no doubt about that. And just the fact that he said that, maybe he's now thinking about doing something else besides, trying to swing for the fences and trying to pull every pitch no matter where it's at. I mean, you can move off the plate a little bit. You can bunt a little bit. You can choke up on your bat, get a little bit more bat control. You can look in one area. You call it zoning from a hitter's standpoint. You look in one zone, and if you don't throw that pitch in that zone, the pitch you're looking for, you don't swing at it. I mean, there are certain things that you can do.
Now, the one hit that he had was in the first inning, and we remarked watching the game, and that was a mistake there by Pavano. He hit a mistake. Pavano kept the ball. He tried to come inside, which you should never do. Keep pounding it outside till he does something different.
Yeah, well, that pitch you're talking about inside, it got in on his hands. It was actually a little broken bat looper up the middle. I mean, he didn't hit it that hard. And where he stands on the plate, he's crowding the plate, so he's protecting the inside part of that plate, but he's still not getting around on the fastball when they do throw it in there. So consciously, he's looking for a pitch outside.
And one more guy in the Yankee lineup. You're amazed that the Yankees are heading into Game 5 in the World Series, and it's 2-2. There's so much dead wood, so to speak, in the lineup. Brett Boone had a sac fly in the second inning. After that, he was 0 for 4. He came up in a big situation in the 11th inning, bases loaded. 1 man out. All he needed was a fly ball. He strikes out against Braden Looper. He is struggling as well.
He is struggling. There's no doubt about that. And Looper just kept jamming him inside with a 2-seam fastball that ran in on his hands. And finally, he got Boone to swing at a pitch out of the strike zone. But you know what, Michael? You go back to the second inning. This is after the Marlins had scored, the 3 in the bottom of the first inning. The top of the second inning, the Yankees had bases loaded, nobody out, and Garcia struck out. We got a sacrifice fly from Boone. They only got 1 run out of that inning.
All right, let's take a close look at that inning. With the bases loaded, as Bobby mentioned, Bernie Williams at third, Matsui is at second, and Posada is at first. Kareem Garcia is at the plate, strikes out. That's a pitch that looked like it was off the plate. Next batter, Aaron Boone, hits a sacrifice fly to center field. Bernie Williams is going to score. A bad play by Juan Pierre right here. He overthrows the cutup man, so both runners move up. But unfortunately for the Yankees at the time, the next batter is Roger Clemens, 4 for 26 in his career at the plate. He grounds out the first to end the inning as Pavano escapes, and the Marlins lead 3-1. I mean, the struggling bats in the Yankee lineup, it's so clear what's going on. Soriano 3 for 18 with 8 strikeouts in the World Series. Giambi picked up 2 hits and 6 at-bats today, 3 for 14. And Boone is a 2 for 16. Posada has also been struggling as well. He picked up an infield single out the pitcher today, and that was his only base hit in the game. So that's a lot of wood in there that's not operating the way it should. And Bobby, again, it is amazing that the Yankees are at this point with the way they're hitting or not hitting.
Well, that's true, but they are getting some timely hits, and they're getting some wonderful pitching. The only thing this does to a pitching staff, it really begins to put a lot of pressure on them, thinking that when they go out there, they need to pitch a shutout. Otherwise, they're probably going to have a chance of losing this game. So, I mean, that's the mentality I think your pitching staff gets into when you know that your offense is struggling and they're not hitting like they're capable of hitting. So, the Yankees have been getting some timely hits. That's the reason they are where they are today. But I tell you what, it will not be easy to win the rest of these games unless these guys pick it up a notch.
And one thing that the Yankees want to do, Bobby, they want to get this done in 6 games, because if it gets to a 7th game,
you want to get it done in 4 games.
You definitely want to get it done in 4 games. But the bottom line is, if it goes to 7, they see Josh Beckett again. Anyway, we have so much more to come here on the post-game show. Still, Bernie Williams is. We'll talk with him. Susan's working both clubhouses. Our Yes staff doing the same thing. Soriano continues to struggle. Yankees lose to the Marlins 4-3 in 12 innings, and this World Series is now a good one. It becomes best of 3. Welcome back to the postgame show. Michael Kay along with Bobby Mercer. Yankees lose this one 4-3 in 12 innings. World Series is tied at 2 games apiece. On our pregame show, Bobby Mercer remarked about how Bernie Williams looked like he was ready to break out of this. His bat seemed quicker. He was trusting his hands. That certainly was the case tonight. He had 4 hits and 6 at-bats, hit the ball hard every single time. Susan Waldman caught up with him a couple of moments ago and asked him about this ballgame, a tough one.
Is it more frustrating to come back in that 9th inning? You were 1 hour away from losing and then lose it in the 12th. How much does that take out of you?
I don't think it takes a lot, because, you know, the way things were going to be, we were going to, you know, lose that game in the 9th inning. But it took a great at-bat by Ruben to get us back in the game. And we fought, you know, for a couple of innings until, you know, unfortunately for us, you know, we weren't able to score a couple of runs. But I think, you know, we came back with the feeling that we still had a lot of fight in us, and you know, tomorrow is going to be another day, and who knows what's going to happen.
You can see that Susan's line of questioning. I've always wondered about this myself. Would the Yankees have rather Ruben Sierra not get the triple, not tie up the game, and just lose the game 3-1, rather than losing it in extra innings? It's a tough question, but Ruben Sierra did come through big time. 2 outs, 9th inning, World Series, game on the line, and you get a big pinch hit 2-run triple to tie up the game. He ended up staying at 3rd, which is painful for the Yankees, but he did his job in a big way. That's a tough job. Susan caught up with him moments ago.
I think we got a chance, you know. They were playing good, and they never give up, and they keep fighting it to the end.
You know Urbina pretty well. You weren't you in Texas with him?
Yeah, he's a friend of mine.
So you sort of knew what to expect from his repertoire?
No, he's a friend of mine. He's a great pitcher. But, you know, between the line, we don't have no friend, you know. I got to do what I got to do, and you have to do what you have to do. I just, this time, you know, survive.
How tough is it to come all the way back and then lose the game in 12 innings?
Sometimes, you know, myself, I don't like to lose in a game when we go in extra inning, but, you know, they never give up. They keep fighting until the end.
Sarah's first time around with the Yankees ended tough. Remember when he left, he said something like, well, I don't like it here. All they care about is winning. But since they reacquired him this year, he's been a valuable member. He's not an everyday player. He comes off the bench. He's had a great attitude. And, boy, was that a big pinch hit.
It certainly was. I mean, it's got to be hard for Joe Torre to know that Sierra has that ability to really spark an offense and not play him, you know, and start him in right field. But he feels like he's much more valuable to this ball club coming off the bench as a pinch hitter in a very crucial situation, such as he did tonight. But during that at-bat against Urbina, I tell you what, he battled Urbina. Urbina was almost pinpoint on the outside part of the plate. I think I remember one particular pitch that he stayed alive with. It looked like a perfect pitch by Urbina, and he was just able to get the tip end of the bat and foul it off, and the next pitch was the one that he drove into right field.
Is it better to get that triple and lose in extra innings, or 3-1 in 9 innings?
Well, I mean, who knows? I mean, you got to get the triple to find out what's going to happen. I mean, Ruben Sierra, if he had to play over it again, he'd like to hit the ball out of the ballpark and take the lead, okay?
All right, we have so much more to come here. We're still going to hear from Susan Waltman. Jeff Weaver, we'll also hear from him, and Jack McKeon, the manager of the Florida Marlins. So much more to come here on the postgame show. Stay right where you are. You've stayed up this late. You're going to not be well-rested tomorrow anyway. Stay right here the rest of the way. When you're the oldest manager in World Series history, you certainly don't need a game like this, but that's what Jack McKeon got. Manager of the Marlins was on the podium a couple of minutes ago. Let's listen in on some of the things he had to say.
We had, and you know, I said this the first day when someone asked a question about what this crowd meant and how we play, and you know, this is probably the 7th or 8th time that we've done this, and you know, had the lead, lost it, battled out of a tough situation and gave us an opening and we cashed in. And I mean, that goes back to Mordecai hitting a home run in the 12th inning and Castro hitting a home run back-to-back nights in the 12th inning. But this is a very interesting team, and no, it doesn't drain on me. I enjoy it. Everybody's asking who my 6-game pitcher was. I said we got to get there first. But this, you know, this win tonight certainly guarantees us shot at going back to New York, and plus the fact it's the first time we've been in the playoffs that we've ever been 2-2.
One last one for Jack.
Jack, one of the things that come up, and we look at the stats, score 9 runs in 4 ball games and you win 2 of them. What does that say for your team?
When you look at the stats, you've scored just 9 runs in 4 ball games, but you've won 2 of them. What does that say for your team?
Well, it says that if we get good pitching and keep the opposition, you know, the low scoring, that we're gonna figure out to beat you, a way to beat you. And basically, you know, what was it 3-2 and 4-3? So, you know, we're not a high-powered machine. We knew that going in, and you know, a lot of times you guys asked, you know, hey, you come back here, you didn't have any home runs or extra base hits, yeah, but. All well and good, but we still got 2 wins. We got 2 home runs now, but we still got 2 wins. But we have to depend on good pitching, and our defense will take care of that. But if we don't get the good pitching, we're in trouble.
Well, you might be wondering, the last walk-off World Series home run. Well, if you're a Yankee fan, you remember Derek Jeter, Game 4, 2001 World Series on a 3-2 count, same as this one, and the Yankees won 4-3 in the 10th inning. So the score the same. The game the same. Let's go right now back to pro player at the podium is Roger Clemens.
You stand if you want.
Okay. We're going to get started with a few questions for Roger. Owen, wait for the microphone over here.
Roger, can you talk about the final moments, getting the strikeout for your perhaps your last professional game, and in addition to that, the way the crowd and the Marlins team and everybody on the field responded to your
it was great. It was, you know, at that point everything seemed to really slow down and seemed a little bit in slow motion. And as focused as I was at the beginning of the game, I wasn't ready for all the flashes at the beginning of the game. I've been in World Series situations before, and that caught me by surprise a little bit when I reared back on the first pitch of the game, and the stadium just lit up. And you know, I could tell that the fans were enjoying the last couple pitches too, because the same thing was happening. And you know, I was able, you know, you just see it when everything like that happens. So many people are using flash photography, and it was quite amazing. I think everybody started you know, understanding that it was going to be my last inning or my last hitter and my last pitch. And you know, you're right in the middle of a game. You know, we had so many outs, you know, still left, and that's what my focus was once I got to the dugout. And then again, Zim and some of the coaches shoved me out to get out there, and the fans were cheering. It was very nice. Very appreciative of that. and it kind of just hits you a little bit of everything that's happened over your career. And I was able to go in and sit in the office in there and reflect for about 5 minutes, and kind of everything did kind of really pass across my mind real quick. And then I went back into my other routine, went in there and cleaned up and got the stuff off my body, the heat off my body, and started icing, and then watched us make a great comeback to get back in the game.
There, Scott.
Yeah, Roger, back here. Noticing the flash photography as you did, how often or how many times during your career have you, where you're so locked in on the field, have you noticed something that's not on the field? How often and when?
Game 3, after all the tragedies happened during the World Series in '01, I stopped my warm-up to watch President Bush throw that pitch. I wanted to see that. I thought it was a pretty special moment, and it was. And then the pitch that I threw at the stadium there, I was ready for it because I watched it happen, 15 minutes earlier when President Bush threw that pitch. So I was prepared for that. I wasn't prepared for it tonight, and it didn't affect me any other way other than it kind of threw me back just a little bit too.
Who else? Bruce? Over here. Okay, David, you go, and then Bruce will go next.
Roger, thanks for coming in so late. What did it mean to see the other team rise in the dugout, Pudge applauding, McKeon tipping his hat even to you? What did that mean to you?
Yeah, I mean, it's when you battle like I have over my career, and you get the respect from your peers. That's all you can ask for, and I appreciate that a lot. It really shows. I think that everybody understands what was going on after the fact, and that I think it shows that they love to compete too, and I can only appreciate that fact that I love to compete, and I wanted to make sure that I tipped my cap back to them, and I think Pudge knew it when I went to the plate for the first time. He mentioned something to me, and you get down to business.
Bruce, over there.
Like a lot of great pitchers, and yourself included, they always say they have to get to you early or they're not going to get to you at all. Can you talk about kicking in the reserve tank and seeing Weaver? I don't know if you saw Weaver, but they were getting someone ready, and what was going through your mind and the process there?
I wasn't worried about if somebody's getting ready or not. It was just a quick adjustment. I was trying to make adjustment in the first inning on the run. My arm angle was too low, and I was able to make that adjustment late. They hit a couple really good pitches, to be honest with you, and at that point I was just trying to minimize the inning. I threw a nice high fastball, and they hit it out, and it was I was trying to elevate even further to try and elevate that pitch a little further. But once that happens, once they get 3 runs on the board, that's it. You just got to try and get stingy. I came in, I talked to Mel. Andy was right there, and we were talking about, that I felt that with the tall mound, it's completely different than the bullpen mound, and I needed to raise my arm angle, and I did that, made an adjustment, and, it made such a huge difference in my stuff. And I was able to start pitching a game like I was capable of pitching, and, I was... as much as I was working on that, I was working on trying to hit that hole at my first at bat to get us right back in the game, and I was late on that swing. And then when I came out of the game, that was the focus, that this is great, and I appreciate all the ovation and everything, but we still have some outs to play. And, Joe preaches that. We play 9 innings, and sometimes we have to play more, like tonight. But we play, that's our goal, is to play 9 innings and play every out. And we were able to do that tonight. We just came up a little short.
On the middle aisle here, Brian.
Roger, the strikeout there in your last pitch was really representative of your career and a really special moment. You pitched well enough to win tonight, just weren't able to do so. So ultimately, when you look back on this goodbye game, how will you view it? How will you look back upon it?
I competed. I left everything. I worked as hard as I could. To a great lineup. I was able to keep the top part of the lineup off the base and try and keep the score down. Their guy was tough against our hitters. He pitched great, and then we were able to come back there and tie it up late. So, I mean, that's the game. I've had so many of those games where I've trailed and we've come back, or to me, again, I'm not. I care less if I give up 1, 2, 3 right there, but I just know at one point I've got to stop the scoring to give us a chance in this game. And if I wanted to stay in the game, I was going to have to do that. So, if we'd have got to my spot in the order, I think Joe would have pinch hit for me there. Ruben was on deck. I think everybody saw that. And then they made the out, so I was able to go out for the 7th and get them out that inning and give us another opportunity.
Buster.
Roger, what did Pudge say to you specifically? And can you talk about your slide into second base? It looked like your life may have flashed before your eyes.
Well, I stayed up as long as I could. I didn't really care if the ball hit me or not. I mean, at that point, I was figuring things out on the base pass. Maz told me to watch Pudge throw behind you. And, I wasn't going to slide back. I'm going to let that ball hit me, too. And ricochet, I'm not, people slide in. The other guys drop knees down and keep you from the base. And so, when you're out there, you're thinking about everything that could happen and what you would do because of that. I wasn't running on the pitch, and Jeet hit a slow grounder, and I was basically focused on the shortstop. He came across the bag, so I went out, and then as soon as he released it, as soon as he got ready to throw it, I got as close as I could and hit the dirt. He was, I kind of shut my eyes and just slid, and whatever. He tapped me on my leg, and I think he said nice career or something like that. I said hello to him first and told him I enjoyed it. And I think I said I've been, it's been fun battling him, and he said it's been great. We had a number of times where we faced each other in Arlington, and some of these guys up here were younger, and Bat Boyd, and he was always really great to these sons of mine when he would mess with them up there when they'd run up there to get the bat and stuff. He's been really good to these guys.
It's getting late. We're going to take 3 more. John?
Roger, one of the things that I've never heard you spoke about is the fact that someone once told me that your success in your great career has been your ability to retain umpire mechanics. Could you talk about that, how well you know what umpires need to see and how they work at games?
I'm not sure. Did you say about my mechanics?
No, the umpire mechanics. What umpires?
Oh, umpires. They're what? Yeah. Well, I think there's 2 or 3 pitchers that do that too. I mean, I try and look. I don't think it's any secret. The guy behind the plate, as far as my catcher, Jorge's my number 1 guy, and my number 2 guys, I need to know who's working the plate, and it's very important that. Who's working the plate. I've been able to, over 20 years, I've been able to keep some information on our umpires, and it makes it easier because you go out and you really find out. Some guys see the ball on the outside of the plate or the inside of the plate. They're all human, and they see the strike zone differently. So those guys are very important. I need to know where to go get a strike at a certain point, and as much information over my career I've had on hitters, I've had just as much on umpires, and I've gotten to the point now where the young kid working the umpire's room will come in and tell me who's behind the plate, and so whether it be the first day of the series or the 3rd, and it's real important. It's just kind of doing your homework.
On the middle aisle in the back there.
Roger, when you consider that you've been a fighter all your career, was there a certain satisfaction tonight despite the loss, the way you came back from the first inning and pitched the rest of the game?
Well, I mean, it's what I do. It's what I've been taught to do. I think it's easy to, when you pitch with a lead with the guys, but to give yourself a chance to tie that game up, I had to try and get stingy. I was able to make the adjustment, and it worked out tonight. I hate the fact that I gave the crowd momentum early, and gave their guys a little momentum early. That's one thing that you try and guard against, especially on the road, which in the playoffs I've been able to do that. Joe's put me up on the road quite a bit, and I've had to try and keep the crowd as quiet as I could. So, that's pretty much it. I mean, that's been my makeup my entire career anyway. I mean, I'm going to fight and scratch even when I don't have my good stuff.
Okay, look, last question on the aisle over here.
Roger, would you be ready to pitch again if you were called on for relief?
Yeah, Joe's already mentioned that to me. That I'll be in the pen here late. If once we get back home, I'll be in the pen, so I'll be ready for that. I've been in the pen before in the playoffs. I haven't been used, been ready, but haven't been used. And I think I pitched one time in the bullpen. Oh, not at all. I mean, once you put your cleats on and get focused on what you need to do, I'll be fine. My body feels great. I was able to get through that game pretty comfortably after the long 40-something pitch first inning, I think. And so it worked out great.
Thank you,
You guys
very
got
much.
anything?
Want to introduce him?
Well, you see Roger Clemens, his career World Series, 7 starts, 3-0, 1.90 ERA, only 33 hits and 47 in the third innings pitched, more than a strikeout an inning, and he has allowed just 1 home run. Now, his career postseason numbers, 8-6, 3.47, less than a hit an inning, 143 strikeouts and 155 and 2/3 innings, and he allowed 10 home runs. So a great postseason career and an outstanding World Series career. Well, that's his last start, from what we hear. That's what he says. And I got to tell you, Bobby, I'm a little upset because I'm not finished watching him yet. I'd like to see more.
Well, I know one thing. I'm upset, too. He needs to work on his base running. He needs to hit the deck when he goes in there to cut that guy down at shortstop. But that just goes to show you the kind of competitor that he is. He was trying to do everything he could to try to mess that play up to keep it from being a double play.
I get the feeling we might see him again, so we can't really say goodbye tonight because, as he said, he's going to be in the bullpen.
He's in the bullpen. The way I took it, as starting Saturday. I mean, if they need him Saturday, he's in the bullpen. And if it goes to Sunday, definitely he'll be in the bullpen for sure.
We still have a lot to come here on the post-game show. Yankees lose this one 4-3 on an Alex Gonzalez home run in the 12th inning. The flashbulbs were popping. It was that sort of game. When we come back, we'll talk to Susan Waldman at the ballpark.
The Nissan Pathfinder has a lot of fans. They like the roominess, the cargo capacity, and the strong 240 horsepower engine. Now, lease a Pathfinder for just $299 per month during the 2003 Pathfinder sales event. So move your tail. Gate. The Nissan Pathfinder, $299 per month.
Saturday afternoon, all the action of college football continues on Yes. The University of Akron zips into the Huskies' house to battle UConn live from Rentschler Field. Akron versus UConn starts Saturday at 12 o'clock right here on Yes. Exclusively from the home of champions, it's Yankeeography, the Yes Network's Emmy-winning series that brings you true stories of true legends.
Mantle had gifts from God, literally.
Yankeeography, only on Yes.
Welcome back to the post-game show here on Yes. The series is tied now at 2 games apiece. It becomes a best of 3. 1 more game in Florida, then possibly 2 games at Yankee Stadium. Let's go down to Pro Player Stadium right now. Susan Waldman is standing by live on the field. Susan, we just heard from Roger Clemens. You listened in on that interview as well. You've known him his entire career. And boy, was this the perfect game for him to make his last start. He likes to grind, he likes to battle, and he did all of those things tonight. He went out just like he came in.
You know, it's amazing, Michael, because at the end of the first inning, I saw Mel go over to him. I saw him leave the thing, and I could hear what other managers in my mind, I was hearing what other people would have said to him. Okay, Roger, breathe, relax. And pretty much that's what Mel Stottlemyre said. I saw Kevin Kennedy here, who managed him in Boston, and he said he was doing it at the same time. He was saying, relax, just breathe, get it out. He was overthrowing early. They got those 3 runs, and then he came back. And he was tremendous. I got to tell you guys, that 7th inning, that is something. If everybody was crying, you could see it. And I don't know where those cameras came from. It was like 60,000 cameras were flashing, and they all had Roger Clemens at his last strikeout, and sort of perfect that his last batter that he ever faced was a strikeout. What went on here in this arena was overwhelming. It was overwhelming to everybody. When I saw Pudge Rodriguez clapping and the umpires clapping, and this is the middle of the World Series. I mean, this is the World Series. This isn't a day in June. It's not the last game that Cal Ripken played, which meant nothing. The World Series absolutely stopped for Roger Clemens. It was really something. I know it's something he'll never forget. Now, this game, however, had more than Roger Clemens. That's one part, and we'll put that away, whether he comes back and in Game 7 or not, I don't know. But, Jeff Weaver, once again, guys, and, he came out, and in the 11th, he was so good and so overpowering that you think the last thing that's going to happen is that he's going to give up a home run to the number 9 hitter, had a 3-2 pitch to him. And I asked Jeff Weaver exactly what was he trying to do to Gonzalez and what happened.
Looking for him to put the ball in play. Gonzalez is a guy that, usually is a base hit, gap-to-gap type guy. So if that's what would happen, I was ready for that. But obviously not a big blow like that.
Where were you trying to put it? And was it where you wanted it location-wise?
I was trying to go down and away, and it just ran in to the inside part of the plate. And, he was cheating, I'm sure, 3-2, looking for a fastball, and just ended up in the spot he wanted.
You haven't pitched in over a month, live batting. Did that have anything to do with it? It looked because you sort of went right through in the 11th very easily.
No, I was very confident out there. Felt good about the way I was warming up in the pen, and after that, the 11th inning, I felt I was right where I needed to be.
I asked Mel Stottlemyre, guys, afterwards, are you surprised that Jeff Weaver, who hadn't pitched in over a month, was so overwhelming in the 11th and then gave up that home run? And Mel stopped for a minute, and he said, no, I actually wasn't, because that's sort of a microcosm of his whole year. The stuff is so good, and then he makes a bad pitch. He said he elevated the pitch. If he had kept it low and outside the way he was, what he was trying to do, Gonzalez wouldn't have been able to elevate it the way he did. And, Alex Gonzalez has not had a great World Series, but boy, he's sure here tonight.
Well, obviously, Susan, Gonzalez came up big in that situation there, and the thing that I was looking for from Weaver, which he did not show, was not having a command of the strike zone. But when he came into the game, he was throwing the breaking ball. He was throwing over for strikes. Yep. It looked like he had been pitching every 5 days and hadn't pitched since September the 24th. So it looked like that maybe they were going to catch lightning in the bottle. But, it's just like a guy on the bench. Jeff Weaver is the bullpen. If you're not being used, you still have to do the things every day to keep yourself in shape and ready to play when you're called upon.
I got to ask you, Bobby, too, because I know you're not a pitcher, obviously, but Contreras does almost the same thing. He comes in the first inning and is so overpowering, and it's like he's on adrenaline. And Weaver was the same way, and I know he hasn't pitched in over a month. There's an adrenaline factor there, and then he goes and sits in the dugout for a half an inning, and all of a sudden it was gone, and he started to get a little more tentative, and instead of just rearing back and using that great stuff that he had. I got to give him credit, like he's done all year. He just stood there with wave after wave after wave of reporter, knowing he lost the game, and everybody around him, talking about this great comeback and how it was not to be. But you know what, guys? The bottom line is, once again, no offense in the beginning of the game. Soriano talked to me about how he thought he was getting back his discipline, and he was pleased that that he didn't strike out as many times as he did before. It's really strange.
Susan, I'm glad you brought up Soriano, because in the interview that you did with Soriano that we played here, he was talking about his at-bats, and you had asked, he said something about making an adjustment. That's the first time that I've heard Soriano throughout this entire postseason talk about making some adjustment at home plate. He's got 25 strikeouts. Did he elaborate after that on what kind of adjustment he thought he was going to make?
No, when you look at it, his swing wasn't as long at the pitches on the outside part of the plate, but I don't know what kind of adjustment he meant. Maybe he means the adjustment is that he isn't swinging at pitches that are 1.5 feet outside. But what happens when it gets down to the point where he thinks he can make something happen, that discipline goes out the window. And as Joe Torre said last night, and he was talking to the beat writers again about it this afternoon, he's not going to change Soriano in the batting order, and as long as you're in a National League park, you're sort of stuck there. As a matter of fact, he said this afternoon when one of the writers asked him, can you put him down to 8th? He said, if I put him in front of the pitcher, there's no telling what he might swing at. So they're trying to make a joke out of it, but it certainly isn't helping this Yankee offense. What's going to get lost in this is Carl Pavano, who was absolutely magnificent, and this team could do absolutely nothing with him again. Bases loaded and only 1 run there. And we've seen that how many times, guys?
Too many times for Yankee fans, I'll tell you that. Susan, before we let you go, I think one of the beauties of the postseason is the ebb and the flow. Yesterday, Yankee fans sky high. Yankees are going to finish this off in 5 games. And now you think that the Marlins fans are feeling the same way. You work that Yankee locker room, Susan. Is this a team that's now approaching these final 3 games with some trepidation? Might their confidence be a little shattered?
I don't think so. I mean, you've worked this clubhouse for a very long time. It's exactly the same clubhouse, whether they win or whether they lose. Everyone was there. Everyone was answering questions. Roger was there. Jeter was there. Everyone was talking about it. And as Jeter said, you just come back tomorrow. I wonder if it falls over, because usually they win these kinds of games. But David Wells, you'll be glad to know, was home before midnight. We were down there, and about 20 or 12, he went off with the policeman to get his rest, because who knows how long this was going. And it's all up to David Wells and if they can hit Brad Penny this time around.
There's a lot of ifs there, Susan, because not too many people in that lineup are hitting. If they don't hit, they're not going to win games. So that's obviously the key. We thank you for great reports today, the great interviews, and we'll talk to you on the post game tomorrow.
Okay, guys. Have a good night.
Or later today, Susan. Have a good sleep.
Or later today.
All right.
Okay.
That's Susan Waldman, live on the field at Pro Player Stadium. We've got so much more to come on the postgame. Bernie Williams, one of 7 Yankees in history to have 4 hits in a World Series game. We're still going to break down the pitching matchup tomorrow. Stay right here. For comprehensive coverage of the World Series and a whole lot more, log on to www.yesnetwork.com. We've had a record number of hits. Continue to do that. You'll have fun reading everything that's on that site. Welcome back to the postgame show. If Game 3 was a swing game, this is a mega swing game coming up, Game 5, because you're really just 1 win away from being a World Series champion if you take this. This is the pitching matchup. David Wells in the postseason, 2-1, 2.42. Brad Penny, 2-1, 7.80 ERA. And Bobby, this is a rematch, obviously, of the Game 1 matchup. Both pitchers pitched well at that time, but again, the Yankees didn't get the big hits against Penny.
Certainly, and it was the top of the order for the Marlins that exploited David Wells early in that game. Wells settled down, and there was this pitch right here, the up pitch to Juan Pierre that drove in those 2 runs, and that proved to be very costly for the Yankees and David Wells. But David pitched well enough to win that game. He was just bested by Penny.
7 innings, 6 hits, 3 runs, all earned, 2 walks, 1 strikeout, threw 104 pitches. Remember, he pitched on just 3 days rest and pitched very effectively. Now he's on his normal rest. Brad Penny, well, now he has a very big start for the Marlins. This is a guy who has been hot and cold. He's got a pretty good arm, pretty good stuff. We'll see what the Yankees do against him. They couldn't do much in Game 1.
Well, he's got the good fastball, and you see the good breaking ball there to Jason Giambi, and also to Boone, Aaron Boone. Penny he came up big. He came up big for them. You see 5 in the 3rd innings, and it'll probably be basically the same thing for Jack McKeon. If Penny can go at least 5 innings, it's Dontrell Willis that probably will follow him like they did in Game 1.
It's going to be very, very interesting. And remember, the Yankees at that time blamed the fact that there was a little bit of a hangover. The stadium was a little bit hungover from the Game 7 against the Red Sox. They better not be hungover now later tonight. This is a very big game, Bobby. This is a super swing game.
Well, you said whoever wins tomorrow night, they only have to win 1 more game. Whoever loses tomorrow night, they have to win 2 games. So, I mean, your season comes down to either 1 game or 2 games after tomorrow night. So a big swing game for
Bobby, we got ourselves a World Series.
Really?
Anyway, the 2003 World Series
reminder, okay?
continues in South Florida later tonight. As we mentioned, Game 5 starters will be Brad Penny for the Marlins and David Wells for the Yankees. And we'll be here, right here, to bring you special pregame coverage at 7:30 Eastern Time. And we'll also provide complete postgame coverage immediately following the game. For Bobby Mercer, Susan Waldman, Paul O'Neill, and our entire Yes Yankees broadcast team, I'm Michael Kay. Thanks for watching, everybody. We'll see you later tonight on Yes, your home for complete coverage of New York Yankees baseball. Have a good one, everybody. So long.
This has been a presentation of the Yes Network, your home for the 26-time world champion New York Yankees, the Eastern Conference champion Nets, and the 15-time league champion Manchester United. The Yes Network, your home of champions.